what it's like to try on an expensive wedding dress for the first time as a single mother. The story begins one morning. It was just after dawn when Diệu Hân quietly slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her 1-year-old son Tom. She splashed cold water on her face, tied her hair back, and packed a small bag diapers, a bottle, and his favorite stuffed elephant. By the time Tom stirred, she was already dressed and gently lifting him into her arms. There was no time to linger. The air outside was cool and still as they began their usual walk into town. The path wound through rice fields and sleepy houses, gravel crunching softly beneath her feet. Tom drifted back to sleep against her shoulder. It was a long walk, one she'd made many times, but today felt different. Up ahead, the lilac-painted sign of the Autumn Dress Shop came into view, its elegant script glowing faintly in the morning light. "Good morning, Ms." Diệu Hân said softly as she stepped inside, settling Tom on the padded bench in the corner where he liked to play. "You're here early," Diệu greeted her warmly from behind the counter. Hân offered a quick smile, set her bag down, and got right to work. She swept the floors, dusted the glass displays, and straightened the rows of sparkling hairpins and tiaras. The shop smelled faintly of lavender and fabric starch. Sunlight filtered through the windows as she moved quietly and purposefully. She treated every gown with gentle hands, checking for loose threads, smoothing silk skirts, adjusting layers of tulle. Each mannequin stood in elegance wrapped in lace and satin, glistening slightly as if they knew they were waiting for a special day. Among them was a new arrival, a soft ivory A-line gown, its hem delicately embroidered with tiny flowers. Hân paused unexpectedly, drawn to it. It wasn't envy or regret, just a quiet ache, something long set aside. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Diệu voice broke the silence. Hân blinked, caught in the moment. "Yes, it really is. Have you ever tried one on?" She gave a small laugh. "No, I never had a reason to." "Just for fun," Diệu said with a smile. "You work here, it's okay." Hân hesitated, her eyes returning to the gown. "Can I try this one?" Diệu was already reaching for it, carefully lifting it from the rack and motioning toward the fitting room. Hân's cleaning cloth slipped from her hand. She didn't say a word. She just followed. Inside the softly lit changing room, the air was still and delicately perfumed, as if traces of every bride who had stood there before were still lingering in the quiet. Diệu helped Hân out of her simple blouse and skirt with gentle, practiced hands. Hân stood silently, not sure what to say, her thoughts racing ahead of the moment, and then the gown slipped over her shoulders like it had been made just for her. It wasn't just the fit, it was the feeling. The satin hugged her waist perfectly. The embroidered bodice rested softly along her collarbone, and the skirt floated around her legs like air. As Diệu zipped up the back, Hân turned to the mirror and froze. She didn't see a tired mother, or a worker, or a woman constantly pushing through life. She saw herself, Diệu Hân. When she stepped out of the changing room, it felt like even the boutique paused. Diệu looked up and smiled wide. "You look just like a princess." Hân lowered her gaze, a quiet laugh escaping. "A princess who works for daily wages," she said with a playful edge. Diệu walked over, scooped Tom up from the corner, and gently turned him to face his mom. "Tom, look at mommy. Isn't she beautiful?" Tom babbled excitedly, kicking his legs as if he understood every word. And for a moment, just one time, slowed down. The dust in the air shimmered in the light. The lace curtain swayed with the breeze. Hân stood there, caught between laughing and crying. She hadn't planned for this moment, but it had found her, and that made it real. She stepped closer to the mirror, holding the sides of the skirt and turning gently. "I didn't expect it to look this good," she whispered. Thu leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "You were already beautiful. You just forgot how to see it?" Nothing about it felt fake. It wasn't dress up. It wasn't fantasy. It was a glimpse of someone she used to be, maybe someone she still was. She didn't think about the man who left, or the long nights nursing Tom through fevers, or the days when dinner was just rice and salt. In that dress, she was untouchable. She was strong. She was whole. Eventually, she changed back into her clothes, carefully folding the gown and handing it back to Thu. "Thank you," she said softly. "It's been a long time since I've seen myself like that." Thu didn't say anything at first. She just reached out and gently squeezed Han's hand. It said everything. The rest of the day passed like usual, but something inside Han had shifted. She swept the floors with a lighter touch. The mirrors seemed to shine more under her cloth. Even the stubborn stains didn't wear her down the way they usually did. And around noon, after the morning rush, the shop fell quiet. She and Thu sat on the bench in the back, sharing a simple lunch. Thu asked quietly, "Have you ever thought about wearing a wedding dress?" "For real?" Han paused. "I used to, but not anymore. That dream's probably over." "Don't say that. You're still young. There's still time." Han nodded slowly. "Maybe. But after I had Tom, things changed. I'm not chasing weddings now. I just want to raise my son right." Thu stirred her spoon, thoughtful. "I get it, but I still believe you deserve happiness." Han didn't respond right away. No one had said something like that to her in a long time, not without judgment, not with that kind of tenderness. She closed her eyes. The only sounds were the ticking of the wall clock and faint traffic outside. When she opened them again, she saw herself not in the mirror, but in the little things. In the way Thu looked at her, in the way Tom had smiled. She realized she wasn't invisible. She wasn't just surviving. She was still here, still someone, and maybe, just maybe, still beautiful. Just as Han was about to leave, Thu returned with an envelope in hand. "Today's wages," she said with a warm smile. "And a little extra. You did a beautiful job. Thank you." Han hesitated for a moment, then took the envelope with both hands. "Thank you. Not just for this, but for everything." Thu's smile softened. "Take care out there. Give Tom a hug for me." By the time Han stepped out into the street, the sun had dipped slightly lower in the sky. Tom rested on her hip, his head nestled against her shoulder. The streets were livelier now, people moving, shops buzzing, but Han moved through it all differently. Not faster, not slower, just steadier. There was something new beneath her tired limbs, a quiet strength, a calm kind of clarity. When they got home, the small room felt warmer somehow. Maybe it was the evening light. Maybe it was something else. She set Tom down and watched him crawl to his usual corner, where a soft blanket and 2 worn books waited like old friends. Han sat on the edge of the bed, just watching him, thinking. She knew there would still be hard days ahead. Bills to pay, long walks, moments that made her question if she was doing enough. But now, tucked deep in her heart, she carried something different. The memory of herself in that silk wedding dress, and the quiet promise it left behind. You're still here. You're still becoming. She hadn't meant for that dress to mark any kind of turning point. It was just a moment. Just a dress. But it became something more. Not because she looked like a bride, not because it felt like a fairy tale, but because in that moment, she remembered even worn hands can still hold dreams, even tired hearts can start again. And for Diệu Hân, this journey wasn't just about raising Tom anymore. It was about becoming the kind of woman he could look up to. The kind who didn't give up. The kind who found her way back to beauty. One quiet, powerful step at a time.
Cô đặt Tom xuống và nhìn anh bỏ đến góc thường lệ của mình, nơi một chiếc chăn mềm mại và hai cuốn sách cũ kỹ đang chờ đợi như những người bạn cũ. Hân ngồi trên mép giường, chỉ nhìn anh nghĩ ngợi. Cô biết rằng vẫn còn những ngày khó khăn ở phía trước, những hóa đơn phải trả, những chuyến đi bộ dài, những khoảnh khắc khiến cô tự hỏi liệu mình đã làm đủ chưa. Nhưng giờ đây, sâu thẳm trong trái tim, cô mang theo một điều gì đó khác biệt, ký ức về chính mình trong chiếc váy cưới bằng lụa đó và lời hứa lặng lẽ mà nó để lại. Cô vẫn vậy, cô vẫn đang trưởng thành. Cô không muốn chiếc váy đó đánh dấu bất kỳ bước ngoặt nào, để chỉ là một khoảnh khắc, chỉ là một chiếc váy, nhưng nó đã trở thành mọi thứ gì đó hơn thế. Không phải vì cô trông giống như một cô dâu, không phải vì nó giống như một câu chuyện cổ tích, mà bởi vì trong khoảnh khắc đó cô nhớ lại, ngay cả đôi tay gầy gò vẫn có thể nắm giữ những giấc mơ, ngay cả khi trái tim mệt mỏi cũng có thể bắt đầu lại. Và đối với Diệu Hân, người phụ nữ nào cô có thể ngưỡng mộ, mẫu người không bỏ cuộc, mẫu người tìm thấy con đường trở lại với vẻ đẹp, từng bước lặng lẽ và mạnh mẽ.